Australia is becoming a new battleground for American designed and built pickup trucks. It's the kind of action that Australia's best-selling car maker, Toyota, is particularly keen on. So it's currently trialling up to 300 examples of this Toyota Tundra on our roads in a world-first exercise. We've been given a sneak peek at how Toyota is remanufacturing the Tundra from left to right-hand drive, and we've even got behind the wheel too. Come with us to discover more. I don't think I need to point out how many Ram, Chevrolet and Ford pickup trucks that we're seeing on Australian roads today, but they've quickly become commonplace. They represent the next step up for dual cab ute buyers and are particularly sought after by the Toyota Land Cruiser and Nissan Patrol crowds due to an enhanced towing ability. Toyota already sells plenty of towing vehicles in our market, but the brand is preparing to offer the Tundra pickup locally by importing it as a left-hand drive vehicle as built in the United States, and then remanufacturing the Tundra to right-hand drive with the help from the Walkinshaw Automotive Group. Walkinshaw is a former parent company of Holden Special Vehicles, but has since found business in converting the Ram 1500 and Chevrolet Silverado pickups to right-hand drive for the Australian market. What we do know for sure about the Toyota Tundra for Australia is the fact that it'll come with an iForce Max powertrain under the bonnet, a twin-turbo 3.5-litre V6 hybrid petrol engine. This develops up to 326 kilowatts and 790 newton meters. In the United States, where the Tundra is built, Toyota claims the vehicle can run on a combined fuel consumption of 11.2 litres per 100 kilometres. Not bad for a behemoth that weighs up to 2,778 kilograms. It's the first time anywhere in the world that Toyota has taken a vehicle built in one country, shipped it to another, re-engineered it and undertaken final assembly with a local partner, with plans to sell it as a Toyota model inside its own dealerships. Toyota's plan with the Tundra is to lease out its initial 300 cars to customers over the next 12 months before ultimately deciding on whether the car will be greenlit for general sale out of Toyota dealerships. Toyota charges a hand-picked group of roughly 280 customers, with 20 reserved for Toyota itself, $2,500 per month on a full-service lease plan that includes scheduled servicing, mechanical repairs, insurance, registration, replacement tyres and roadside assistance. What we don't know is when the trial will conclude and Toyota will make its decision on whether the project will be expanded to general sale. However, if it does, the Toyota Tundra will be offered in all dealerships around the country. Now, Toyota Australia's wish for including this model in our local lineup centres around its towing ability. Whether it's a horse float, car trailer, or even a great big boat, the Tundra can tow up to 4,500 kilograms after being fitted with an upgraded tow ball. It stocks inbuilt towing features including an integrated brake controller, plus a specific towing mode that automatically tweaks shift points, throttle response, and even aerodynamics. Power is supplied by a twin-turbocharged 3.5-litre V6 petrol engine that provides output to a dual-range four-wheel drive system. The difference for this powertrain, though, is the fact that it's joined by hybrid assistance. Toyota is coy to call it a hybrid itself because the hybrid component focuses on providing ultimate pulling power. Instead, the brand refers to it as the iForce Max system, incorporating a 290 kilowatt, 650 newton meter petrol motor with a 36 kilowatt, 250 newton meter electric motor generator. In terms of design, you can quickly see that this is like nothing we've come to expect from Toyota in Australia before. In terms of the front fascia, you've got two headlights set at the extreme edges of the front fascia, and a big wide grille which feeds that twin-turbocharged iForce Max engine. Down the side, you can see that this car is characterised by big bulging fenders. It runs on a set of 20-inch alloy wheels with Highway Terrain Bridgestone tyres. It's got a set of side steps, and it does have a particularly high waistline. At the back, we have a drop-down tailgate, which is hydraulically assisted, which is exactly what we want for people who are using this all the time. And it's also particularly easy to lift up and down. So, nice one there, Toyota. Now, this thing is rated to tow 4.5 tons, which is kind of uncharted territory for Toyota. The brand hasn't offered a towing vehicle as dedicated as this before. So, uncharted territory, let's see how it goes. But for the time being, let's go check out the interior. Inside the cabin, the amount of space on offer is simply bewildering. I feel as though I'm sat in an entirely different postcode to this passenger here, and the wide center console could almost be used as a desk. There's all manner of storage available. You can open up this center console for a big wide bin with dual USB ports. There's a wireless phone charger, dual cup holders, all kinds of little nooks and crannies to store your things in, and also huge door pockets as well for bottles. The level of storage on offer inside this car is simply amazing, and you won't find anything else like it on the market today. Now, the seats that I'm sat in are particularly They're not offering a whole lot of side support, but they are very comfortable, and it does make the slide-in effort very easy when you're getting inside the car. Materials use throughout the cabin is quite nice. I've got nice door tops up here, a nice leather steering wheel. Everything feels well built and well designed as well. Now you jump inside through this big wide aperture opening doors to a massive space in the second row. Now I know I was banging on about the storage and space on offer in the front row, but this is simply amazing. I've got a huge amount of knee room. I could almost cross my legs if I wanted to. And I've got really good headroom as well. Talking amenities, it's very well covered off overall. You've got dual cup holders, air vents, dual USB ports, map pockets, a fold down center armrest with dual cup holders, and obviously very, very big door pockets for bottles as well. Now the materials use is slightly worse compared to the front row. You do have these harder door tops and plasticky door cards, which isn't the nicest experience when you're spending, well, we don't know pricing just yet, but it will be an expensive car. But generally, it's a very nice experience in the second row here and just supremely capacious. But let's see how it drives. Well, here we are behind the wheel of the Toyota Tundra for the first time in Australia, which is a pretty impressive thing in its own right. Now, this car is being remanufactured rather, by Walkinshaw Automotive Group in Victoria. And might I say, for the first impression, they've actually done a pretty decent job around here. I'm not feeling like there's anything outwardly obvious that has been changed over from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. It feels very nice and comfortable inside here. There's not that many creaks, not that many rattles. Well done to Walkinshaw Automotive Group in that regard. One of the most impressive aspects about this Toyota Tundra is the fact that it has a hybrid powertrain. And actually, Toyota might like you to call it the iForce Max powertrain, because this is a hybrid like no other. Now, where normal hybrids will sort of prioritize fuel efficiency and fuel consumption, this car is far more leaning towards the performance side of things. So this is 100% a towing rig first and foremost, and in that regard, this thing really performs. We've been towing 4.5 tons on the back of this, which is what this vehicle is rated for in Australia. In the United States, it can tow up to about 5,200 kilograms, but for the time being in Australia, it's 4.5 tons, and the effort required for that feat, it really didn't phase this thing whatsoever. Some other things that I'm experiencing on the first go around here in this highway circuit is the fact that there is a little bit of wind noise around the mirrors, but overall it is pretty well resolved inside this cabin, and there's not that much road noise coming through. But yeah, there's a little bit of wind noise about the wing mirrors just here, and those parts are part of the remanufacturing process. They have been fitted for an Australian ADR design rules, but for the time being, it's doing pretty well in regards to noise levels, vibration, and harshness. So yeah, well done in that regard. Steering efforts in this thing are very, very simple. It's a light steering weight, and granted, you can't feel a whole lot of what the wheels are doing underneath. There is not that much feedback coming through the steering rack, but it does make it an easy thing to maneuver and steer within its lane. Being so large, this thing is very, well, it would be hard to handle on roads, but I'm finding it's not that hard to keep it in a straight line, steer it around bends. This kind of car, you won't experience it, you won't see it very often on Australian roads, and it is a new thing for Australians to get accustomed to. So the fact that Toyota has made it pretty simple in that regard is very decent. An aspect I want to touch on is the braking effort in this car. Being so large, you might think that it might be a little bit unwieldy coming up to a stop and going around bends, slowing down for those kinds of road situations, but I'm putting my foot on the pedal now. It stops without too much of a fuss overall, so very, very well engineered in that regard, and actually feels quite safe as well. You might be able to hear that, but it's true, Toyota has piped in some of that V6's engine noise inside the cabin, and I'm actually not hating it, even though it is not authentic. I like the fact that it comes through to the cabin and it does let you know what the engine is doing under the bonnet, because otherwise this thing is so well insulated and you don't actually get an appreciation for what the engine's doing at any given moment if you don't get that aural feedback. So I like the fact that that is piped in. Australians will have to get used to the fact that these large American pickups, they don't have that much seat bolstering, and they are built for bigger sized humans, essentially. So there is not that much bolstering to keep me in my seat going around bends, and even though it does make it an easy thing to get in and out of, I really do wish there was a little bit more side support in the seats, but for the most part they are very comfortable, and I'm very comfortable sitting on this plush seat base. Alright, here we are at the moment coming up on another car around Toyota's test facility, and I'm going to punch the accelerator. And it actually has a very, very decent pull around cars and for that overtaking ability. It does have that 10-speed gearbox which offers up the right ratio in any given scenario, and I'm particularly impressed by this transmission. The fact that it doesn't hunt around for gears, which we've seen in some other 10-speed transmissions. The fact that it sort of just knows exactly what gear to put you in at any given point, that is really nice and reassuring. So this car, being a hybrid, does have an electric powertrain that it can draw energy from as well, and we've found today that this car will actually do about 50 kilometers an hour on its own electric power. So the fact that you can pull away from a set of lights silently and then hear the petrol twin turbo V6 engine fire up, that is pretty impressive and not another feat that any other manufacturer can match. Toyota's test facility is meant to mimic an Australian road basically, so what we are experiencing at the moment is representative of what we'll find further afield out in normal Australia. So there are pockmarks, there are sort of little undulations, and this car is taking it all in its stride. The Tundra sort of just pummels through all these road imperfections, and you're not feeling that little jittery sort of ride comfort that you expect from a big ute, especially when it's unladen. There are instances where this offers up a little bit of a wafty ride comfort, and when you're going over larger yumps and that sort of thing, it sort of can make its weight known, but for the most part, this car really irons out most road imperfections. It's funny, I feel like I'm sat in the absolute next suburb away from the passenger there, and there's a massive center console as well, which you could almost use as a desk. But yeah, the level of space on offer inside this thing is simply ridiculous. But that's basically what the buyers will be yearning for, that amount of space, the amount of towing ability, the amount of tray, payload, everything that this car basically offers. These are what the things that the customers have been asking for and what Toyota is providing in this Toyota Tundra. One final point I just want to make is the fact that visibility out of this cabin is quite decent. Now you do have a little bit of a letterboxed windscreen up front that is quite heavily raked, but all around the windows, out the back as well, you've got good visibility, and there's a nice glass house that lets in a lot of light. I do wish that the rear view mirror, I wish that was a little bit wider so that you could see things behind you a little bit better, but it is digital as well, so you can switch between actual mirrors and a digital camera feed. But that only really isn't that big of a deal, especially when you're driving this thing without towing anything behind. I tell you what, more than anything, this sounds very impressive, especially on the gear change. Very cool. Well, this is well and truly uncharted territory for Toyota. They don't have customers of this sort of need level at the moment. Granted, they do have Land Cruiser customers that could step up to this, but for first impressions, we're really feeling like this is a decent effort, and we really look forward to seeing how this car develops over the next 12 months. At the moment, I will mention it, this car is doing a whopping 22 litres per 100 kilometres. Now granted, that is not representative of a normal driving situation, but there you go. It is a thirsty thing, but we'll see what it's actually like when we have a launch maybe later in 2024. It's not always a given that a left to right hand drive conversion is a simple process. In fact, it can actually make or break a car. But for the time being, on this initial first impression, I couldn't poke any holes in what Toyota is offering, and the level of quality of that Walkinshaw conversion is really impressive. If you've liked this video or learned something new about the Toyota Tundra, be sure to like it on YouTube and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our future content. As well, you can read the full review and all the specifications on drive.com.au.